Over the years, I've found uneven tuplets to be a very, very handy tool. And the strange thing is when you use them, most people don't even notice. In this case, we're going to use uneven tuplets, and for a very good reason. And we're going to choose a really simple scenario where this might actually occur, or be a beneficial technique to the scenario we're going to lay out. We're going to use one really, really simple scenario. I don't really use patches like this much that use the full orchestra kind of things at all, because unless it's to demonstrate to a student a specific sound they may get. So here's our scenario. Let's say we're just doing this. Bringing something to a close. One simple triad, fifth in the bass, then root position. So let's lay out the scenario where this might be something we may want to use, an unusual tuplet at 3/4 at 90 BPM. Now don't worry, MIDI keyboard players, because I'm going to work it out there at the keyboard so you benefit from this too. Because I'd usually just write it in and not use this at all. Well, we want to do a 2-octave spanning run. Okay, that's our scenario. Well, let's set that up as a scenario, 2-octave run. There's our destination. Now at this BPM and time signature, going 1 bar from point A to point B, aiming for the last note into the next bar, creating an ending, the best bet is to use unusual tuplets, not 8th notes, not 16th notes, and 32nd notes might be a little bit too fast for our scenario. Let's actually put that in here. Let's add 1 more bar before we go to the keyboard and work it out. That's our end point, the first beat of that bar. Starting point to the end point. Going 2 octaves. Now let's shift back over to the keyboard. I'll remove this from the screen for a second. So our scenarios were at some kind of triple meter, approximating 90 BPM. So now here's a little trick you can use. Let's just take a pulse right now and use 8th notes and outline the D minor chord to our start point, destination. Remember the scenario was the D minor chord, second version, root position, as if we're ending some kind of phrase or piece. We're going to use this 8th note D minor outline as our basis. And here's one thing you can do. You could take that first note, every 8th note have 5 notes. Go to the next note, 5 notes, next note. Let's use chromaticism. Next note, next note, next note, end. Fitting 5 notes into every 8th note, getting you from point A to B. And from experience, I know this will be like the perfect tempo run for this. So let's not assume either, since I use chromaticism, that I'm using something like Hungarian minor. Just because I had a flat 5. Thinking in terms of chromaticism is very common. Let me do something like this. I was using natural minor as the basis and using chromatic neighbor tones and stuff. And that's not really any different than using Dorian as the basis of something, using that flat 5 in there, okay? We're so addicted to altered scales that we tend to forget about chromaticism. I found sticking to just altered scales to be very limiting. And that's the way I prefer to think. So let's go back to our example. I wrote it out. Starting point, destination point. Now what we're going to do, well, I'm just going to copy this to 2 other groups. We're going to use the concept of the double octave in our run. It's a very common orchestral technique. Double and triple octaves are very, very common. So this run works out perfectly in this scenario, going from starting point to destination. So I'll just copy that and paste it to 3 groups. That's all we're going to do in here. And then I'll transpose the top one up and the bottom one down and do a double octave. This is just a case scenario where this may occur, groups of 5 per every 8th note, because of the tempo and the time signature and the starting and end point. So what I'll do is just create this double octave real quick. and then just export this MIDI to the DAW and then work it out and play it back. So if you don't know what a double octave is, let's go ahead and play one. There's a double octave. There's a double octave. Oops, this is where a full string pad should come in handy. Couldn't get that last note on the low end. Okay, again, here's the scenario. Ending to a phrase, ending to a piece. And here's what it sounds like worked out. So there's a good reason to choose specific tuplets like this, the time signature and the tempo. It's perfect for that. So there's one practical use of using odd tuplets.